So I haven't been here every day this week, so can someone tell me what you guys have been learning the last couple of days? Brody?
Learned about the black mustard plant and how it defends itself with wasps.
Okay.
I'll help people.
Okay. Okay. Joseph?
We read one about some fish that almost killed another one of their buddies just to live.
Okay. Arius?
We talked about a notice reader and an expert reader.
Okay. So what have you learned about that in your informational
A
text?
notice reader is a reader that kind of skips over things and doesn't get all the details and stuff. And an expert reader is kind of a reader that makes sure to get all the details, doesn't skip any pages, reads all over it, takes the time.
Okay. Good.
We learned in one night's back, we learned about a fish that can squirt blood out of its eye.
Oh goodness. Okay. So I handed you guys a worksheet. We're going to be going over some of the vocab words. So you've already gone over, Arius said novice and expert, the difference, so you guys can go ahead and write your definitions in your own words for those two words. And then we're also going to go over analyze, turbine, and sacrifice, which are part of the text today. You think you might know what? Sacrifices? Okay, well, we'll get to it when we read the book, okay? Then you can say it. Okay, and then after we do this and we go over some of the reading workshop, you guys are going to be sent to your seats and you're going to do the back. And you'll pick a chart, but we'll go over that in more detail once we get to it, okay? That's the worksheet. So, as I've been looking over your guys' notebooks, I've noticed that many of you have great notes on your topics. You use a lot of charts and webs and really great notes, but we want to use our notes as really to help us think and very informational, okay? So, you've all been discussing becoming experts rather than novices. Can someone else compare novices and experts? Brody.
Experts do, like, and they analyze more of the text than a beginner.
Good. So, and today we're going to learn the importance of analyzing. Does someone know what the definition of analyze is? Yes, Miles.
Is it whenever you might record your answers onto something and that's analyze, I'm pretty sure. Like record your answers
Kind of, yeah.
or record your notes and or something.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of watch something?
Watch something, okay. Does anyone else have a definition?
Kind of like research about it.
You can research about it. Okay, anyone else? Caleb, do you have an idea?
Like maybe like study something and like kind of like studying something.
Okay, good. So, early in the semester, you studied how to make your writing about reading about literature as meaningful as your other writing. You guys remember that? Yeah. Okay. So, but when I look through all of your notes from your informational text, your notebooks have a different feel. Like I said, there's a lot of notes and sketches and webs, but we want to use our notes to help us think the same way as when you write about your literature reading. Okay. So I did a little bit of research, and I found an article from Harvard University. Does anyone know? Have you heard of Harvard University? Yeah. Okay. So this says, from the Harvard article, it says, outline, summarize, analyze. Take the information apart, look at its parts, and then try to put it back together again in language that is meaningful to you. It says the best way to determine that you've really gotten the point is to be able to state it in your own words. Okay, so I'm going to read it one more time, and then you're going to talk with a partner about what you think that means and how it relates to your informational text. Okay, so it says, take the information apart, look at its parts, and then try to put it back together again in language that is meaningful to you. The best way to determine that you've really gotten the point is to be able to state it in your own words. Okay, so talk with your partner on what you think that means.
It means right.
See it.
So it's just like copywriting. Yeah, it's kind of don't plagiarize.
So what do you think it means by copyright? Okay, the best way to determine that you've really gotten the point is to be able to state it in your own words. Right.
Sacrifice became
So it's just really. Okay, so who wants to share what you and your partner discussed? Michaela?
Like if you have like a paragraph or like a chunk of text that you read, you could like break it into parts, and then you like write it down in your own words, and then you like put the parts all back together to make something that like matters, like something that you can write for yourself.
Good, yeah, I like that. Okay, Jalen?
Don't plagiarize something.
Don't plagiarize. Yes, that's a very good. Sage?
So you need to you need to look at the book, check out all of it, and then think about the bits of information that you got. Put them together and use it again in your own words. You don't want plagiarism, you could get arrested.
Okay, good. Jacinto?
Break apart the words and see what it means.
And then put them back into your own words.
Right, I agree. So do you guys think that that has something to do with analyzing?
Yes,
Yeah, I think that these are all really good examples of analyzing.
It's not advice.
It's not what?
It's like the opposite of good advice. It's non-advice.
You think it's non-advice? Why is that?
It just sounds like a non-advice word to me.
Okay. Well, I think that this article in the Harvard, I think it's teaching students what they need to do to be good readers and to be able to analyze things. And so I think that that's probably a really good definition of analyzing. To deeply understand the text and truly be able to explain what it's saying to yourself, you need to be able to explain the whole in your own words. So it's really taking information apart and figuring out what it's saying. Okay. So I am going to use an example of when lunch fights back. And they haven't read this section.
No, that's the last section we haven't read.
Okay, the last section.
We read the story before it, but not the science behind the story.
Okay. So as I read, I'm going to ask myself, what is this part really trying to get me to understand? Okay. So my story, you guys have been reading it, and the main idea of this book is really the scientists and how they ask questions and their research, right? Okay. So you guys have this on your iPads, and so you guys can follow along with me. I'm going to get those out.
It's a reading workshop, boys and girls.
Okay, it looks like most of you are there. I'm gonna start reading, I'm gonna read the first page, and then we'll discuss a little bit, okay? So this is the science behind the story. Biologist Robert Young studies animal behavior. When he started working with two-spot Astyanax in Brazil, his goal was to help protect them from a human-made danger. Two spots are common in rivers throughout South America, including rivers with hydroelectric power plants. Two spots often swim into power plant turbines. It's a fatal mistake because the turbine's spinning blades can kill the fish. Young wanted to devise a way to keep the two spots out of the turbines. He wondered if scaring the little fish away with models of predators might be a solution. In his laboratory at the University of Salford in Britain, Young and his student Vincent Goulart set up 8 large aquariums. They put a small school of two spots into each one. They made realistic models of two-spot predators, including wolf fish. Then they designed experiments to see how the little fish responded to different sorts of predator attacks. What happened next was completely unexpected. When he first started the experiments, Ben came running out of the lab to find me. Young recalled. He said, "Rob, something weird is going on with these fish." Goulart used the wolf fish model like a puppet in the water. Whenever he chased two spots with the model, the little fish turned on one member of their group. They bit it and forced it out of the school. The injured fish would swim away from the school for several centimeters and then try to get back in, Young explained. Eventually it did in the aquariums. In the wild, however, the scientists guessed it would have been quickly eaten. An injured two-spot is tempting for 2 reasons. First, it is alone. Second, when two spots and many other fish are injured, Cells in their skin release a chemical. The chemical acts like an alarm to warn other fish of danger. Any fish producing the chemical, however, is usually targeted by predators as an easy meal. What two spots do when attacked by predators is the first scientifically documented case of what Young calls active selfish behavior in nature. In other words, animals deliberately sacrifice one individual for the rest of the group can survive. It seems underhanded, nasty, even cruel, but Young cautions against thinking about two spots this way. As humans, we consider the consequences of our actions. Animals don't. They simply act in the way that evolution has shaped them to act. Okay, so as I was reading that, I was asking myself, what is this part really trying to get me to understand? What do you guys think that this is trying to get me to understand? Sage?
It's trying to get you to understand that the two spots are not cool. They're not selfish at all or anything. They're just trying to help the rest of the group.
Okay,
So they first help that one fish
okay, Joseph?
and save the rest.
It's telling you about two spots defense.
Two spots defense. Okay, Brody?
What the two spots do in case of a predator.
Okay, so, Angela?
Talking about how they sacrifice one fish for the rest of the group.
Yeah, those are all really good examples. What do you guys think that it's trying to tell me about the scientists that are researching it? Miles?
That they they're trying to tell you that they really take their work really seriously, and that they're always recording it, because whenever it says that his student, he ran in because he had to be watching the fish.
Mm-hmm.
He ran in and started and said something is going wrong with the fish. So I think that they take their work very seriously.
Okay, I agree. Michaela?
That the scientists are wanting to help the two spots not go into the turbines and have the blades peel them or anything.
Okay, good. So yeah, I think that in this section, there's a couple main ideas, like the two spots, their self-defenses, sacrificing, but I also think that it says a lot about the scientists and what they do in the process of researching. Okay, so up here, we have the different main ideas about scientists that you guys have found, right? So scientists work in incredibly different ways. Scientists often have a research focus, a topic they know really well. Many scientists work for universities. Scientists ask a lot of questions and they do research to answer them. And scientists work hard, often encountering failure on their way to discoveries. So which one do you think that this section really focused on? Is there one in particular? Angela?
About the discovery, because they discovered that the two spots they pull out one fish to save the group.
Okay, yeah, good. Okay, so while I was reading this, I was trying to think about how I could show this and talk about this section in my notes. Okay, and I think that we could make a chart, just like this one. Okay, so let's get that. Okay. Can I use one of these Excel markers?
Yes, you sure can.
Okay, so if I made a chart like this in my notes, I could really talk about the different scientists mentioned. So for this section, I would put a scientist right here that it talks about, and then maybe if I read a couple more pages, I could put a different scientist and start a whole new one. Okay, so a scientist in this one, can someone tell me his name by looking at your thing? Adriana?
Biologist Robert Young.
Robert Young. Okay. So let's see. Okay, and what is his research focus? I think it says it in the second sentence. Jalen?
What is it? Two spot, I don't know how to say that.
Yes, he does focus on that, but there's something, a whole branch that he works on. Brody.
Helping them, protecting them from human man-made danger.
Okay, yes. Let's see, it's in the first, Jalen.
Animal behavior.
Animal behavior, perfect. So I'll put that there. Okay, can everyone see this? Let me move it out a little. Is that a little better? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, what kind of questions were asked? What kind of questions did Robert ask throughout it? Joseph?
How could I help these fish?
Okay. Jalen?
Why do the two spots, why do they attack each other even though they're in a school together?
Okay, yeah, that's good. But he didn't know that until the very end, after he did some experiments, right? Experiments? Sage?
He asked how to keep these little fish away from the turbine.
Good,
So they
yes.
wouldn't get hurt.
So that was his original question. That's why he did all the experiments, was will scaring the fish away keep them out of the turbines? And why do they do that? So we'll put, will scaring the fish away keep them out of the turbines. Okay, so then what was his research process? What did he do next after he found his question, Miles?
He, I'm trying to, did they make like, research process, he built the fish model, he used the, wolf fish model like a puppet, and used it to scare away the other fish.
Good job. So this is when he actually put it into action, right? He
Yeah.
built the model to see what was gonna happen and do his experiment. So we'll write. He built the model. Okay, so that is one chart that I would use to help me explain in my own words what happened in this section and the certain main ideas, okay? Because if I did another scientist from a different section of this book, I could really compare the different methods that they use, right? And I could see the patterns between them that correlate and that maybe don't correlate. Okay, so let's go back to some of the vocab words that were in this chapter. So, what did you guys put for analyze as your definition on the paper? Listen.
I'm gonna put like research.
The research.
To observe. No, I have it on the tongue. Like to get interpret.
Interpret, that's a good word. Okay, so let's see, let's go back to, your next vocab word is turbine. So let's see. It says, two spots often swim into power plant turbines. It's a fatal mistake because the turbine spinning blades can kill the fish. So what do you guys think a turbine is? What's your definition? Caleb?
Spinning blade.
Spinning blade, okay,
Was like a wind turbine.
that's a good example. Okay, Joseph?
Blades in water where air that produces.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So go ahead and write your own definition in your own words on where turbine is. And then our last word
Amos,
is
are you sitting on it?
What is,
Amos, look in your lap. And are you sitting on it?
what is for turbine?
So you put it in your own words. But it's like a
Grab another one
blade,
then.
like a plant, or a wind turbine that's underwater, in your own words. There you go. Yes.
For the sacrifice, can you like, when you like give something away for something like even better or something else?
Right. So I'm gonna read it, the sentence with the word sacrifice in it, okay? Nope, notice.
Or yeah, what is it?
So you guys have been discussing that. You've been discussing the difference between novice and expert. So what do you think a novice is? Well, so what do you think an expert is?
Someone that's good, like, or like, you're an expert at, so like, you're good at it.
Yeah, so someone that's really skilled in a certain area. Okay, so if novice is something different than that, what do you think it is? What do you think a novice is then? If you've been talking about the difference between a novice and an experiment, or an expert.
She said they should have come up, but I don't like them, so she just said get them.
Okay.
It's like a person that doesn't
So it's someone that's not as good, that's maybe less experienced.
Emily,
Okay.
Emily, do you want a mint?
No.
Do you want a mint?
Okay, so the syntax with sacrifice in the book is, in other words, animals deliberately sacrifice one individual so the rest of the group can survive. Okay, so what does that mean to you, the word sacrifice? Dylan?
basically get rid of someone or something.
Okay, Kate, what do you think?
Sacrifice is, well, I thought it was, where like, you do something and you're taking your own risk.
Okay,
Like,
okay. Miles, what do you think?
something something that you have to give away, because like, sacrifice. I'm trying to find an example. Whenever somebody needs to, like in a garage sale or something, and something that, and then somebody doesn't really want to give away something, they have to sacrifice that for money.
Yeah.
So giving away something for profit.
Okay, Jalen?
It's basically I'll give an example. If you want to get a better piece in chess, so basically if you sacrifice your pawn to get a knight, that's kind of sacrificing your pawn to get a better piece. And then they'll take that piece, and then you have more points than that.
Yeah, that's a good example. Okay, we'll do one more. Emily?
I'll use the fish and shark food for example. So they bite the fish, then separate it from the colony. So then it becomes a sacrifice, a victim.
Right. Okay, so you guys can put your definition if you haven't for that last word in your own words. And then I'm gonna go over one more chart that I could use for this section. And then you guys can get to pick on the back of the sheet which chart you wanna use for your own text, okay? What was what? Analyze. So can someone give him a definition in your own words? Caleb?
To interpret something.
To interpret something. Okay, so just put it in your own words. It's to read through it, take pieces apart, to interpret information.
Why did you recording research? That's what I said.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over one more chart.
That one's dried out, we just need to throw it away.
Okay, so how many of you have used a T-chart before? Okay, so most of you, perfect. A T-chart. What? A T-chart. Okay, so if I wanted to put this in my own words, part of this section, and I wanted to compare some things, I could use a T-shirt. So I could put up here the scientist's research process and his findings. Okay, so we already said on the other graph that the research focuses animal behavior, and he asked, will scaring the fish away keep them out of turbines? So what was his research process? And it says he built the model. So we'll say, if you want to be more specific, we'll say he designed fake predators to attack the two spots. Okay, Now, someone tell me what he found by doing this. Jalen.
That the two spot sacrificed another fish for their own good.
Good. So we can say the fish sacrificed one member. So we'll just say that. Okay, so if I wanted to keep going, I would just keep adding different research processes that different scientists used so that I could easily compare the patterns between the two scientists and even more throughout the entire book. Okay, Kate. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so and none of this is easy work. And so before you all go off to make your own charts, I want you guys to think, how do you want to break this down? What parts seem important for me to help learn more about my topic? Okay, so what are your different topics? Michaela? Human body.
Yeah, I'm doing the
Brody?
same thing.
Egypt.
Egypt. Dylan? Sports. Adriana? Military. Okay, so you guys have lots of different topics. What are some ways that you think you can break these down into different charts? So like an example would be soccer. If we had it up there, we could change the ones on the left to players, position, rules, history, so you can learn about the different things about soccer. Okay, Jalen?
For mine, I could probably do the kidney and the liver because I'm also doing the human body as well.
Yes, that's true. Sage?
I'm doing animal rescue, and so could I like compare different types of rescue animals?
Yes, you could?
So a T-chart would be good for that, or that.
Yes, I think it would. Grace?
Okay, since I'm doing a person, like I'm doing, I'm probably a teacher work, because then I could do like, when he was like a little kid, and then he was like an adult.
Yeah, that's up to you. You could even use the other one and you
Yeah.
could do different like headlines that are in your books about it, like maybe his early life, what he did, things like that. Okay, so I want you to choose one of the graphic organizers on the back. You don't have to do both, you only have to do one. And kind of think about what section in your book you want to read and complete it over, and talk with your partner about what you're thinking.
And I get to do like
You're gonna choose one of those.
I'm gonna compare
Okay, boys and girls. Okay, so what are some ideas you guys came up with? Angela.
So, I'm going to learn about different sports, and I use this t-shirt, because I've learned that tennis and volleyball are alike, so I'm comparing tennis and volleyball.
Okay. Was that?
I'm gonna do the T-chart, TKO and KO.
Okay. Keep Brody.
modern day Egypt to ancient Egypt.
Okay.
Special drugs and for army.
Special Forces Army. Okay, so what are you gonna do with over that? Okay.
I'm gonna compare the special ops, like special ops gear, since I'm in the gear book, Army's gear.
Okay.
Like, the Army usually doesn't have night vision, but, Spec Ops usually don't have, like, machine guns and stuff, since they need to be, like, small.
Okay. Well, I think those are all really good ideas. And before you guys start, I want just remind you that your notebook should be a helpful tool for you. It should help you take information apart, study those parts, and explain what you have learned in words that are meaningful to you. okay? So you don't wanna take information straight out from the book, you wanna interpret it into your own words.
Could you like write this up on the board?
Yes, I will write the instructions on the board. Okay, so, if you flip over your page, I guess you guys are all on it, it looks like. Like I said, you're just gonna choose one chart, and then in the main idea box, you're gonna state the main idea of the section you were reading, okay?
Did you put like the page number or like for the main idea?
No,
Or just
you
the
don't
main
have to.
idea? Okay, change the text.
Well, it's just whatever you want, you can do it over the whole book, or you can do it over the section you're just reading,
Okay.
okay, Jalen?
Well, the kidneys and the liver, they don't really have the same page, so I might have to go into two different pages
That's fine,
and read two different things, so.
that's fine, Emily?
I don't understand what chart number 1 is. It's just a box with something in it.
So it's like what we did over here. You get to fill it out. So when the section that I did, I broke it into, I talked about the scientist, his research focus, the questions asked, and the research process. So I'll sit down with you and I can help you when it's all done, okay? And I'll explain it a little better. Okay. So, you guys can go off and you can fill out this, one of the charts, and then the main idea. And I will be handing out page markers if you wanna mark down some of your pages that you want, okay?